You hear like even almost like the NPR like little tongues like saliva lapping around.
Hello, this is Ira Glass, and we're going to have another good episode for you today. So
NPR is basically ASMR radio now.
Are we rolling yet? Got all this good shit going.
Well, yes, this is Ira Glass, and I'm here with two gentlemen.
The Fonzie.
And Zachary Ingram, yes. Zach is a music producer, an engineer. He's been doing it for about 20, 30, some odd years. A long time. He's a very talented guy.
I'm just gonna.
That's how Ira Glass talks.
No, I know. I've listened to it. It's just like
when you get past him, the actual episodes are pretty good.
Oh yeah,
but
no.
he's super boring. I won't lie about that.
It's cliche though, almost to a point. Like,
oh yeah,
it's like stop, stop.
He's a creative ASMR.
Is he?
Can't say it right. Yes, you didn't know he founded it. He had the very sultry voice, and people started following him.
That's funny.
I saw. I don't know if it was like Michelob or Miller Lite. They try to like get on the ASMR sort of like hype train. They have like a commercial, and it's like they do like really slow.
Oh, that's weird.
Michelob Ultra was like, fuck you guys.
Yeah.
Oh man,
that's funny. So we're rolling, huh?
Mm-hmm. I guess we're rolling.
We're rolling, baby.
Oh, now you got nothing to fucking say, right? This guy.
That guy.
This is a hyperbole.
I don't even know why I'm here. What's up, guys?
What's going on? This is Mike Wilson. Mike Wilson, all things black and entrepreneurial.
Except the white name.
Holistic. Go ahead, run through it.
Wow. When it comes to you, I don't know.
Sticker? Do we have a? We'll put the logo in later.
Okay, appreciate that.
Right.
Well, I was just gonna say I can't tell if that was a compliment or sarcasm.
Is it the truth?
Everything black, maybe. So yeah, the real Mike Wilson, and I rap and stuff, and produce and stuff.
Put it on the mic then. Bring the mic closer.
Yeah, I rap and stuff. I produce and stuff. I engineer and stuff. Zach is teaching me how to engineer. He's been doing that for a bit. He's pretty dope. And things black. I have a brand called Black Jesus, which is based on a song called Black Jesus, and which I wrote because I wanted to inspire black people to greatness. Which is funny because the last line in the chorus is Harlem with the Black Jesus. And when I was like running around with my Black Panther mentor, Pop Gaskins, who I think I mentioned to you guys before, I used to go to Harlem all the time, hang out with Scott and look at sneakers and stuff. And we weren't doing anything important in Harlem. And,
you might want to specify exactly your Black Panther mentor, because I think people are imagining you like kickboxing or something.
No, unfortunately, I said this
green
to.
Screen.
Well, I said this to a young lady at one of the young ladies working at a karaoke spot the other day, and she asked me if I knew Michael B. Jordan. That was her response to me. Yeah, so that's actually where people mind go now, which is funny. So
did you get in a word for me with Obama?
What was that?
Did you get a word in with me with Obama?
I'll try.
Because I'm trying to get into some really good schools.
Okay.
And I mean, I know a letter from him. Really.
I don't know if he's part of the Black Panther cast, but I'll see what I can do. He should have been in the movie. That would have been great. Yeah, no. So Pop Gaskins is one of the original Brooklyn chapter Black Panther people. Older dude. I mean, I guess he's in his 80s or something now. Super nice guy. He's done a bunch of things for our community and blah, blah, blah. He's marched with Dr. King. He knew Malcolm X. He worked with Ali. I can't remember his last name. Ali Lamont, who helped run the Sonny Carson office thing out in like Nostrand Avenue, which I know you know the Nostrand Avenue kind of like black people scene. So like my mentor is super involved with that and still is.
Slave theater.
Yes, he was for some time the owner of Slave Theater after the judge passed away. So like legit, like he's been a mogul in kind of like black power stuff. So anyway, we would go to Harlem, and it was the only place, believe it or not, I grew up in a Christian church, right? So it was the only place where I saw an image of a black like Jesus. Of course, these were those Israelite dudes, the dudes who look like Power Rangers, like Power Rangers ninja uniform. Yeah, right?
Nice.
Right? So that's exactly what it looked like to me.
I want to be there when you tell them that.
I don't want to be there when I tell them that.
A friend of mine called them the New Funkadelic Church.
Ooh,
yeah.
I like that. I like that.
So Ronco Studamac and a Bible. There you go.
Yeah, actually, they kind of look like George Clinton, so that's kind of weird. They favor him.
Go ahead.
No, it's fine. Now I see George Clinton. But yeah, so it was an image of a black Jesus, right? And so, they're wild and crazy. We all know their stories. They're always saying white people are the devil and all this other shit. Obama is like the Antichrist, blah, blah, blah. These other things I heard. But what really struck me was that of all the years I was in church and all those other things, this was the only time I really saw an image of a black Jesus, right? So I guess it subconsciously stuck with me. And so when I started writing the song, the chorus just kind of came to me. I'm like, well, Harlem with the black Jesus. Harlem was the first place I saw the idea of black Jesus actually represented. And the goal of the song was to inspire that concept. And it's really funny. So I live in a very gentrified community. And when I leave the house in my black Jesus shirt, white people stare at it. I mean, they don't look at it. They walk past me and like, is that a thing? So
it was the desert.
Exactly. Like, you had to have some kind of brown skin, buddy. But yeah, so the song and the merch is around the idea of your importance. Like I use the word, I don't want to get into what those black people do, with like defining definitions of words and shit. So I apologize in advance. But like Messiah means anointed one, right? So a lot of people think of Messiah as like one person who's supposed to do something, and like they are just that person, right? And like we are all Messiahs, and in the concept that we're all anointed for our task, right? So Black Jesus is supposed to be like kind of a personal brand that says to people of color, like, you are important. You have your task. You're anointed for that reason. You are your own Jesus, to speak. Your personal Jesus. It's very Depeche Mode in that kind of way. It's like you're your own.
Let that go.
No, but like you're your own kind of like, you're going to get you to where you need to go. Just stay focused and like love yourself and fuck bitches, get money.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right.
Have you seen the show Black Jesus?
I've seen a little bit of it. I actually really like that show.
Oh,
That show
I
is
do too.
brilliant. I don't know why I didn't finish it, but that show is brilliant. Like, it was so ridiculous.
I think I guess I just like stopped because Charles Murphy's death.
No.
I guess, but I mean, I love the way that like it definitely was like it's accessible like for I mean I think definitely like Christianity could totally like get down with it. I mean I think maybe the most blasphemous thing that they would say is like, oh well, he's smoking like weed like
Yeah, he does use profanity.
it's like, and then there's like profanity, but like in the end they're pretty true to what Jesus was representing, what he was about, like, and
he's
even
like super loving personality and everything.
but also in the times of his anger too, like when he's like, and I mean, like, but like that's kind of like the whole point when Jesus like throwing down the temple, getting pissed off his apostles. He's like, listen, I'm the fucking son of God, and it's like I know you might think I'm being like egomaniac right now, but like I'm literally doing this shit like for all you guys. So like stop fucking around, like stop. What's there backsliding? Stop backsliding, and I mean, but in a great like modern telling, like, and also like to the black like community as well, like that sort of what's the word? Just kind of like that painting, that style, like, but that's able to like to reach kind of like these different areas of like, okay, even like this religion, but also this race. But I was still able to get down to it. I love Aaron Magruder and like just his way of like critiquing.
And the rumor is he's bringing back Boondocks, so that should be dope.
Yeah, it's had a couple.
I know
of
Zach has never liked Boondocks, have you?
I do like it.
You do?
Yeah,
Nice.
totally.
So speaking of the Jesus being angry from Black Jesus, I'm thinking of the episode Dr. King where he comes back. You niggas. And like it's the same thing, right?
Yeah.
It's like because he's this regal personality of the black community, like he wouldn't be mad at people fucking their own shit up, which is completely not true. Like just as much as Jesus would be mad. I think any great leader who's died for the purpose of black people to see certain things happening and certain attitudes and like loving hip hop, I think they would just fucking destroy in a second. Like Malcolm X would not stand for that shit. like, you know what I mean? Exactly. So, but yeah.
Yeah, where to go from that? Yeah, that brings up a lot of discussion.
You said the
about
black
things.
thing. Now I'm on black.
No, that's what's interesting, and that's
talking
part of the
about
right?
Well, I don't know if you want to like get into like this early though, but you were mentioning where you were talking about like and do your thing, love yourself, and fuck bitches. I don't know if you were talking about.
Yeah, I was wondering.
Oh crap! I did it to myself.
Contemplating the other day because I just last night there was this young girl. She got on her phone and she's walking.
Oh, the yes bitch thing.
And, but the other one picked up. She's like, "Hey, bitch," and got into it. Very comfortable with it. And but a week ago I had said something about I'd used the word bitches, and the woman I was with just like kind of stopped me, like she got to give me the sign that I guess I'm being a savage or something.
Yeah, you going too far.
She wasn't being annoying, but she stopped as I looked at it, I was like, you're going to defend everyone else? You don't know these people I'm talking about. How do you know they're not bitches? But anyways, just is, people thinking that's universally wrong to say. Like, I don't think it's appropriate in every environment.
Yeah.
But context is everything. We all are different things at different times, and we understand.
So that's funny, and I want to touch on the context of that because you texted me saying that you're going to ask that question, like that question was going to be brought up in the conversation with Kip, which is fine, right? It's just so the text was, is bitch okay to say, right? Which is a very straightforward and kind of whatever. Yeah. But the context is like how he broke down that story. It makes way more sense. Because I just thought you made it kind of like an umbrella. Is bitch okay? It's a word. Can we say bitch? And like this makes way more sense. And I've said it about 7 times, so I think it's okay to say in general.
I was.
See, I didn't know if you're going to be like, well, we have our African queens that we must nurture and protect as the stars.
See, this is why when people are like, Mike, you're that whole black thing, I'm like, let's take a minute because I am not calling you king and I am not calling every chick queen. It is not happening. I don't believe in that shit.
I was in it was like maybe like freshman year or sophomore year, and I was hanging outside the dorms of the school, and it was a Friday night or Saturday night, and you have these. I mean, is it okay to refer to these type of folks as chads, as they say on the internet?
Oh, right? Chads, yeah, that's not racist because we're of color, so it's fine.
Yeah,
people of color can't be racist.
I mean, they're
if you close your eyes, you can see
they're all done
right,
and they're all done up and
the Chads.
Shaved on the side of the hair and the Chad, and they're all ready to fucking hit the clubs.
Yeah.
And they're waiting and they're texting.
Are they wearing all polo shirts and shorts? Is it that?
I would say it was polo shirt, but definitely the dress shirt.
Okay.
Polo's uncomfortable. Fucking chase my nipples.
Really?
Yeah, I don't like that.
I can't share that experience.
Maybe it might be the logo thing on them too. The little fucking guy playing polo. But they just
weird self-mutilation acts.
Why do golfers do this? But like, and I just like hear them, and they're on the cell phone. It's like, all right, man. Like, so like, when the fuck are these bitches getting here, man? And that to me, though, like, kind of like, I mean, I didn't say it. I didn't like to put it up, but I just kind of was like, Jesus, like, shallow piece of shit much. Like, what the fuck? Like,
but yeah, I see what you mean because you're saying like that statement, as far as context go, is like. He's talking about women in a very general sense, but it's just like using a derogatory term. To just
women that you're about to meet,
like, yeah,
that you're gonna
that you're meeting up with, yeah.
And then like also just like it's like pretty much you're not gonna.
They don't want to be courted. I think
I
think the basis a lot of this argument is people defending people who don't need to be defended.
But for one thing though, like do like kind of like. That really though kind of exemplifies being like yes, like this person is merely just like the sexual object for me.
But do you really feel that word says that?
No, not entirely. In this instance, though, with these guys, we're about to go out and like be like, yeah, like like when are these like bitches like getting here like that? And not to like in no way did I feel like these guys knew these chicks like or it's the beginning of the year or stuff like that. In no way did I feel like it was that. It just kind of felt like this very shallow like course like okay like. That's off-putting. I mean, but I wouldn't like if someone's being like, "Listen, man," and you could state like some truths, being like, "Bitch is gonna do what bitch is gonna do," and I'd be like, "Yeah, you're right about that." I'm not gonna like protest that in every sense. But when I heard it in that time, like being like, "Wow, dude, what the fuck?" Like how do you view like women as a whole? Like is
bitches
but like in that word like. It could go either way. Just like, yeah, like those bitches. Like, that's bitches just being like, yes, the thing that I'm entitled to. The fucking, the inferior. It's like, okay. Like, and it's context.
Have you ever seen the Chad say bitches? Because they usually mean it in, like, the thing that I'm entitled to. I get that point of view entirely.
I mean, like, and
that's a lot of backstory for people you haven't spoken a word to. No, I'm not calling you. No, I'm speaking to society in general on this topic. Okay. No, but I'm saying that I understand what you're saying. But when you're, but it's the same time, like because I just realized I don't really exactly know who this Chad identity is. Yeah. I get what you're talking about.
The Chad people, the people who go to Red Line.
No. I get it. I know, but at the same time, we're just having a discussion here. I'm unpacking this. I hate that fucking expression. Along with you, but it's just kind of like, aren't we all just kind of like building judgments on top of judgments on top of judgments?
Sure, like fine.
I just separately as far because we end up investing so much into their character, and I don't mean their integrity character. I mean their person as a story
as a
character, And then how we choose to interpret the thing, we worked it backwards. Like they said something, now I'm building who they are behind what they said. But in actuality, I'm the one that creates who they are.
Yeah. Okay, I see that.
I hate to be all, Marianne Williamson about it.
So I get that, but
campaign 2020. But I'm not calling that out. I'm not over virtuing your virtue thing. I didn't mean to sound like that either. No, you're good. But I'm sorry for cutting you off. Let me say this. Fine. I'm kind of comfortable with it. It's funny because when I see people when people gasp at things that my entire life no one batted an eye at, I can't help but have this little sort of animosity.
Aren't you the one who told me the cunt story? It was you told me some story like we used the word cunt and like you were like surprised by the reaction or something like that.
Oh, I think you said this Polish chick that you were once rolling with.
We remember, so you definitely said something.
Hang on, let me get one thing at a time here.
But I'm just saying, like, it's very similar in that way. Like, it didn't mean much to you, but, like, she heard it and was like, oh, my God. And you're like...
Oh, maybe, something like that. Yeah. But, because my reaction, I think, with a lot of society, and everyone's on social media with people from different fucking generations now, all talking to each other like they're all the same, which is disheartening on a lot of levels. But... when someone acts offended at something, you have an actual cultural history of it not ever being offended. You can't help but be like, you invented your offense. Now, people can grow, societies can grow, people can change their minds and view things differently, and it gets broadly accepted. I totally get that. Sometimes you have to ask yourself, do I want to go with this change or I don't? But it's just, I think what a lot of people also is in certain tech context, it's wrong. But that doesn't make it wrong in every context, particularly... Sure. And that's the whole nigga thing. It's just like, first of all, we wouldn't even have this discussion if you didn't make the word popular again. You literally sent your kids to school and bought that fucking house with the song you wrote with nigga that rhymed, and everyone now remembers it. They could have, it was offensive until the actual people who want to be offended by it made it more popular and fun and la la la, So it's just like with the bitch thing, it's just like I would never be like, please welcome the next president of the United States, this bitch, Marianne Williamson. You know what I mean? Like I wouldn't do that.
I kind of want you to.
To bring it back though, actually, it kind of works. What you were also saying about with the word of that you recently brought up. And also like that, I was at a bar and was with some coworkers who were out drinking. Did you put
no camera on you?
No, there's camera. I can see. Can you? You could see.
Because he's got the spittle on the side of his mouth. No, I'm good. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to.
No, you're good. It's but like the context and in that moment of hearing the word bitch with these guys and talking to this coworker of mine, and he throws the N-word out there, and I kind of like, whoa, man, and he's like, listen, man, it's just a word, like there's nothing wrong with it, but if I do hear someone using that word in anger and trying to like hurt someone with that word, then I have a fucking problem with you. And it's like, okay, yeah, and in that sort of sense, like that's kind of what I heard like from these guys. I heard anger. I heard like maliciousness coming out of that, and I think that same thing applies with any word.
But what if she better have his money?
Well,
is then he not entitled?
That he better be wearing a fedora with a feather sticking out of it.
Listen, I'm just saying.
Why are we bringing Scott into this?
Oh, now he's like, what?
It's like, why did you mention me? Oh,
this is on the web. Yeah, but I don't know. Yeah, but I don't. The thing is, like, there was this episode with Ali G, and he had Naomi Wolf on there, who was like this feminist writer, and he was doing his character, and he's talking about like, when I'm in bed with my woman, she likes to call me her bitch, and because she's like, well, I'm very offended by that, but he's like, yeah, but she likes that, and she's like, no, that, and I remember sitting there thinking, what? How does she given herself permission to be offended by something that another woman isn't offended by when it's in her world? You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, like, just with taking things and like turning them bad or turning them good. I mean, are you guys aware that like this is now apparently white power? Yeah. And that pisses me off because like for us Italians, that used to mean the food is fucking good.
Yeah.
And now you're taking that from, and I'm not allowed to fucking do it. And
they took like, the rainbow, bro. Now they're taking this.
But granted, though, if I were to see, like, I would be kind of upset, and for two reasons, being like, all right, like, well, now you're taking molto bene, And if I were to see there's a fucking Klan rally and then part of their salute is now, I'd be like, well, fuck you, man. You can't use that. You can't do that. Like, that's like, because now it's transitioned. I mean, I've always like thought like, what if, I mean, one of the great compliments of a modern age is now to go like, savage.
Yeah.
And I just want to be like that guy, just to play the asshole and turn against him, being like, you are aware that savage was once a derogatory term used against the Native Americans in order to dehumanize them, so that this way we feel less guilty about taking it away from them, right?
Yeah.
And like, so in any case, like, yeah, words are constantly transforming, and we're getting new meaning. South Park did that on the word.
I mean, even a Nazi symbol, right? Like, that's not like an evil symbol, but Nazis were able to use it and then, do all their Nazi
45-degree tilt.
Right? Like, so, I mean, there's a lot of things you can say about Symbology or whatever the word is.
But no one has the patience for that. What I reason about what you're saying. I'm literally, because the shit that with this happened from the fucking internet. It didn't happen organically.
Yeah. No, it didn't. It didn't. They just saw a bunch of
There's no geographic location in a barn that started in. Someone just chose to say that that's what it meant on the web, and then all of a sudden everyone's like, well, that's what it is now. And now you can't do it. Like, go fuck yourself. You know what I mean? I don't buy into that shit. I reject all of it.
When I first heard of High Shelf Studios, I was looking to record my next album. My business plan was to secure a branding market by becoming a cult leader. We did the sessions at High Shelf, and everything just skyrocketed. We had 11,000 new followers in just a month. We saw the world, traveling, great shows, women and drugs. We stuck religiously to our branding model. I remember High Shelf had excellent outboard gear, great compressors, mic pre's, an assortment of good mics, AKG, Neumann's, and a phenomenal live room. We got incredible drum sounds, a very creative, chill vibe, and all at a price even my followers could afford. And they took a vow of poverty.
Yeah, we're back. Sorry for the interruption. Where were we? Bitches.
Oh, yeah. So,
wow.
My final statement on bitches. Saying the word bitch. Final statement.
I use the word bitch to describe people, not even just women, but people I really dislike. That's how I use it. I use it for the intent of hurting someone's feelings. Yeah. And I think in the last year, I probably used it on like one person, pretty much. That's like it. I mean, like if I'm really close with a lady friend or something like that, and kind of like how homegirls would be like, bitch, like I'll fuck around with her and do that shit. But of course, it's like a very comfortable, like she knows it's a joke. It's not offensive kind of thing. I'll call like Scott, the guy I just mentioned, I'll call him a bitch all the time. He is offended by it, but I don't care. And I hope he hears that. But generally speaking, I don't use it lightly to just remotely say kind of like whatever. And I understand, much like the N-word, I understand that Black people might use it with one another as a kind of respectable community term. So I understand that women might use it with each other in a kind of community term. I also understand how words change and how, I don't know if you probably do know this, but a lot of the words we have in a dictionary, such as LOL, which is in a dictionary, is there because the community uses it, right? So unfortunately, no matter our feelings about the internet and how information is spread or how incorrect some information might be, a lot of how society is formed is based on how the community agrees on something. So the moment someone decides that this was white power, unfortunately, very unfortunately, I'm not saying it's right, but it's just the way kind of like the community of mankind works. Once we decide that that's what it means, that's the definition.
Yeah, well, fuck that. I don't like the way we decided.
Well, that's fine.
They even changed how we decided.
Well,
I'm taking it back. Nah, you know what? I'm going to keep it alive. I'm going to be the resisting force, and I'll be like, it's going to stay relevant as long as I'm saying it.
Well, and I think that's also fine. But I mean, all I'm saying by is that historically the communities have defined what matters in their community. And if Facebook is a community of 4 or 2 billion people, whatever it is, right? And they decide that something is something, those 2 billion people are going to go with that thing. And if 2 billion people is what was like, there's 8 billion of us now? Yeah, 2 billion is a lot of people.
You know what I'm saying? Context is everything. Context that you know what I'm trying to say. You know what I mean. You're choosing to be offended.
Well, 2 billion gives them
power. Because when it is used wrong and in the wrong terms, 99% of the time everyone knows it, and 99% of the time when it's used as an offense, everyone knows it's intentionally done as an offense. You know, because listen, I like the pimp version. I think it's an indication of something imbued with value and, you know, and connection. And it's just like, yo, look at this bitch. Yeah. You know what I mean? Or,
well, yeah, because in the hood, chick, that's how it's communicated.
That's my best bitch. It's like, it sounds derogatory, but it's still, we know that it's derogatory. We're using derogatory.
Well, that's like me coming in here and being like, yeah, you know, Zach's my nigga, right? Like, you know that I'm being like, you're my friend, you're my brother, whatever,
and he
whatever.
knows it too.
Yeah. And I'm not saying that he doesn't know it, but what I'm saying is it's because of the community of that language over a period of time. Because 100 years ago, if I came in here and, well, not with this color, but if I came in here and said, you're my nigga, and I was a white dude, we all knew what that meant.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So the community does define it, and it has.
But I'm just calling out the bullshit of like, it's not a problem. You're making it a problem. To be called out, and that offends me. It's just like, no, this isn't the moment you can be offended. You're choosing to be offended. You're making something out of
that
nothing.
way they don't have to justify or win their argument that they're already doing. It's just they can immediately, you lose by default.
Yeah, you're a villain. You did something bad.
That's it.
I'm the victim.
And now I don't have to explain.
Well, that part I can agree with because I think people, maybe it's internet age, like the microwave age type of mentality where it's like, I don't want to spend time thinking about this because I've had that issue throughout many conversations of understanding and sharing information. So I can agree with that part easily. Like, people don't want to take the time to go, well, let me think about that. So that's offensive to me because I'm from here and this is how we usually communicate. But in your community, it's not offensive because of A, B, and C reasons, which is what I do all the time. Like, I'll talk to people, it's like, oh, you know, I know some people over there that would think blah, blah, blah about that. But it's very interesting that you have this feelings about it. Thank you for sharing that with me. I understand your culture and your world better, which, again, people don't have patience for that, which is fine. But if people did, we'd all be a lot happier, right?
Well, I wouldn't mind if someone said, you know, yo, Zach, you know, relax. I'm not really into that word. So, you know, everybody's like, well, don't use that word. Please.
Well, like explaining,
you know,
yeah.
Okay, I won't use
see
it
what you
around
mean.
you. I don't have to automatically be the bad guy in the ring. Round one, ding. Oh, you got black eye. No, you know. I'm
going to call you at 3 in the morning. You using it?
No, I get that. Yeah, people aren't
I think
sensible enough to show.
Complex enough to get it. They're just choosing not to.
Like with cultural appropriation,
no such thing.
Yeah, I have a story, and I believe like it's no such thing. I like to call it cultural integration. I mean, like folks kind of like, you know, mixing stuff up. I mean, because that's how you get some dope ass fusion going on. I mean, like who doesn't want that? But like with Cinco de Mayo and like folks saying, you know, unless you're Latino heritage, it's like you cannot celebrate. It's like, all right, well that fuck you. Anyone's allowed to go out celebrate their Cinco de Mayo. Like you know, it helps if you know what it's about. I mean, like that's more kudos to you. But I mean, if that's your day of like, well, like guys, let's go celebrate, let's drink. I mean, they do that for St. Patty's Day. No one's bitching about that. But like in the heck, like if you also want to go out and you want to celebrate by getting some Mexican food too, even great. You want to get like tequila shots. Okay, cool. Heck, you even want to wear some like traditional garbs and shit. It's like that's awesome. You're
this is about being a part of the culture.
You're taking a part of this. You're learning it. You're exploring it. That's great. I remember like working on Cinco de Mayo, like busing, and we're slammed, and just this table of bitches.
Well, see, you're using it the way I might use towards people I don't like.
Well, yeah, like, and it has nothing to do with. It's just like and they got these kitschy little headbands with these little spring glittered cactuses. They got these little sombreros, and they're going woo woo yeah. And I'm just like thinking like, this is the fucking day that my mother's people kick those French pussies out of Puebla. I should be the one getting to take some shots at tequila going, yeah, but no, this is just like any other day. But like, I mean, I'd be down with saying, hey, say goodbye, folks, if you want to get some paid leave, or you should be allowed to request your day off and get that day off, like if you're for some heritage, like, cool, that's awesome. But like at that point, that was like some tacky shit. Like, I don't care if you're coming out to celebrate going, tequila world, like, yo, in or something. This kitschy, this fucking thing on a mile. I was like, fuck you. Fuck you. So in that instance, I kind of like got a sense of like, okay, I could see where some anger comes from the idea of cultural appropriation, but that you have to take it to that level where it's almost satirizing, not even satire. That's not the right word. It's really just patronizing, and and I think that's how some people feel. But that some people see patronizing in things where it's like, no, I'm genuinely trying to be a part of this. I'm genuinely trying to learn. Like, and so I think a lot of them just kind of conflate learning and participating with this sort of like let's get some tacos. It's like, I think we can
easily go back to Zach's point with that though, right? Because those people, they're like, I'm Latin, I have an experience here in America, and that's not like being represented or respected or whatever it is. So that white dude wearing a sombrero and having tequila shots is wrong and evil and destroying my people. Yeah. While, for example, literally satirizing or whatever case is kind of like no respect for the culture, just kind of like this complete lack of respect for the culture. Like, that's what the issue is.
We're taking your culture for a bit to use for ourselves. We're going to play with it how we want.
Because they're the same one who's going to look at you and go, he's Spanish, right? Pedro, we want another shot.
Okay.
And you're like,
yeah, everybody just shut the fuck up. Nothing's different in the world. There's nothing new under the sun. They just feel that to be able to point it out and write a fucking paper to submit to their professor over it makes it a fucking thing.
Well,
it's
even
not
better,
a fucking thing.
they can literally just post on Facebook. Now you can complain. We are the news sources. We are the sources of information now.
And it's all critique. All this fucking talk and everyone evaluating, postmodernism and re-looking at how we do things. Like, no one's coming up with anything fucking better. No one's inventing a new idea. I'm not saying that they can't. But they're putting all their energy into fucking taking every little screw and every little fucking washer and every pin out of everything that holds the fucking world up, as though noticing it invalidates it immediately. It's like, yeah, that's the fucking way it is. You want to do something about it? Try. But don't start off with, okay, everyone's wrong, and I need you to file down this line, and as you go by, I'll put a sticker on you and say, okay, now you're right. Okay, now you're right. Like, who the fuck are you? You're just perpetuating the same fucking problem.
Well, I'm the
you're
right
saying
guy.
A million people in society shouldn't decide how this one person feels, but you're the one person telling everyone in fucking society how they should feel. Yeah, Shut the fuck up. Humanity didn't just wake up when you were born and go, oh, look what we've been fucking doing. Oh, gee, Megan, please tell us how to do this right now. How well, you've been in the work world 2 fucking years? Please show us how we're all... Fuck that.
Megan's a very wise girl.
What's that?
Megan's a very wise girl.
Megan's always think they're wise girls. They fucking do their homework a day ahead of time. They always get the fucking gold star. Fuck Megan, all right?
Wow. She also puts little hearts for when she dots her eyes.
A girl named Megan broke his heart for sure.
Wow. That's not good. That's funny.
No, I get you.
I think, that just, and the cultural appropriation, it's like, and that, it also affirms the status quo. It's like, you're trying to demand, we're taking down the white power social culture. Because when you point out that someone's appropriating culture, you're doing it from a position that says you're outside of it, or you're above it. And it's always white people. They're always pointing out somebody brown and somebody white conflating culture. How come they never say anything about people wearing t-shirt and jeans? That is the quintessential epitome of Western culture. Levi's and a white t-shirt. They're not going over to anybody else's culture and telling them, you got to take that shit off. You got to put a sari on. You know what I mean? So it's very selective how they do it.
Well, so this is why I thought the way you introduced me was funny, right? Like all black everything, right? Because like I actually see that perspective and I'm like, we just kind of demonize every fucking white person all the fucking time. Like every white person is evil. Just you walk in the room, oh, fucking that white guy over there, he's with a black girl. He's destroying the black family. Like That's all the narratives and shit. And like that shit bothers me. Like,
yeah,
legit.
especially bothers me when a bunch of black dudes are all shooting each other in the fucking street, but you're worried about the one white guy taking the black girl away. Like, how much fucking bullshit's happened in that scenario alone that's impacting the black family?
I'm not going to touch on that because there's a whole other black side of me that has a complete understanding and a complete way of breaking
why
that down.
they shoot each other in the face in the streets?
I'm just not going to do that. I'm just gonna
no, as long as I know that
part.
there's a good reason out there, that's all I need to know, bro.
Well, I mean, let's not.
Go ahead.
So, no, it's not. But yes, but I understand. It's like what happens is we just look for someone to blame instead of looking at the source of the issues. And that's my statement there, right? Because I see the source of the issues, for example, in the black communities. I know where those things come. We can talk about presidents. We can talk about policies. We can talk about Jim Crow. We can talk about a lot of fucking shit that happened, the ups and downs, police force, et cetera, et cetera. There's a lot of shit to talk about there. But what ends up happening is white man did it. And instead of someone saying, in this city, in this town, here were the different acts, the different policies, the different leaders, governors, mayors, et cetera, who did these particular things, like, FHA loans, not giving any loans to people of color, or putting them in sections of the city where they were too dangerous or whatever, or not allowing people of color to move outside of those cities or whatever the case might be. And like just all those kind of legit systematic things, not literally just talking Jim Crow, but all the policies that were put in place to be able to help families throughout the United States, but was somehow focused on not doing that for people of color throughout history. But what ends up happening is white people are evil instead of actually looking at those particular details. Mm-hmm. And so I agree with you. That shit is frustrating because, white people deserve to be happy just as much as everybody else deserves to be happy, right? So we're all fighting.
Well, they already got their happy time, all right? And so they can't.
But see, like that's the thing. Like, I mean, that's a great statement because that's the thing. Everyone thinks every white person's life is great. I know plenty of fucking poor white folks. People have struggled and everything.
Just to interject,
that
sentiment is behind every time someone says, "Well, you're privileged." That's what they're saying is you had enough good. Now you should be in a position to mete that out to somebody else. I didn't mean to stop it your trainer, but that's what that is.
But I want to follow up on your statement because I have a privileged friend, a friend who comes from a family with decent amount of money. Not rich, but they're like retired, they're doing their thing, whatever. But he was born disabled. He had disease when he was little. People made fun of him, beat him up and all that type of shit. And now he's doing great. Like now he's like making almost $100,000 a year. Sure, maybe being white helped that. I'm not going to lie about that from the systematic point of view. But the fact of the matter is he did struggle. He has mental, I won't say mental issues, but he's had problems on personality or like whatever the case is because of how he was raised, because of the things he went through. Yes, it's different from mine. He didn't get stopped by cops, but he got beat up by people who were called his friends. Like, you know what I mean? So it's like the shit matters.
No, listen, being biracial, it's the black side of my family have owned businesses and bought houses. The white side of my family beats up their wives, steals their cars. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's just like, I don't know anybody on the majority of the white side of my family growing up. The adults didn't graduate high school.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's just like, it's reversed. It's like all the fuck ups are on the white side of the family and all the people actually doing shit. So people are like, well, it's like, no, I'm sorry. My life doesn't. I understand what everyone's saying as a cultural idea. We get to play with those playing cards.
But I'm glad you're on the opposite side of that though. And cutting you off only to say because everyone expects the black side to be the side that's all fucked up.
Right.
And you're like, no, that was actually the part that I was able to learn from. Like, you know what I mean? So
and then people go with we got those little ideas in our head, then we just keep running as though that's the only situation.
Yeah.
It's David and Goliath. And then it's just like when you start talking to people, well, how could you be black and Republican? It's just like, well, maybe they don't. Maybe everyone didn't try to be a rapper growing up. Everyone didn't clean. Everyone wasn't the fucking Jeffersons. You know what I mean? It's like on one end you want to say that black people are just so disadvantaged and they're, but then to suggest that some black people actually have a little bit of wealth, it's like, do I applaud them or do I call them not real black people?
You call them not real black people. But like that's also a thing because like if you're black, you're not supposed to do well in school. If you're black, and these are rules black people are putting on themselves. These are rules, of course, like racist white people or people who don't even really recognize their own racism might suggest towards people of color. Like I'm pretty sure you've had Asian people.
He looked at you. No, sorry, go ahead.
What was that?
No, I'm sorry.
I reach for my wallet.
Yeah, every time I come here, I get a little worried. I don't know what he is.
I derailed it. My fault. Go ahead.
No,
sorry,
it's fine.
audience.
No, but I'm just saying that there are groups, not necessarily just white, who have a particular expectation of people of color. Just because, like black people, they're just like, you need to be like this because whatever. But then there are plenty of black people. Well, here's one of my favorite stories. And I mean, contextually, I think you'll get it. So I went to school in University of New Haven and stuff like that. So I would come back to the hood and just play ball and Bushwick, whatever. I had a lot of friends that I used to play ball with. So one day they were like, so Mike, what do you do? Like, sometimes we don't see you around, whatever. It's like, I'll be in the city. I lived on Flushing, Broadway, J train right over the bridge, right? It's like, I'm going to the city, 20-minute ride or whatever. Yo, you go all the way to the city? Right?
Yeah.
And like, that's the thing. Yeah. I'm literally 4 stops away from Essex Street. And he thought that was far.
Yeah. I've known people that never left Brooklyn.
Dude.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. Yeah. And so the thing is, it's like, how much of this narrative that is the white man's fault are you playing into?
Well,
because you're afraid to leave Brooklyn because nothing out there for me. It's like, really, they got some good Chinese food out there. I like Essex Street.
Yeah, in China.
Yeah.
Get the fuck out. It's like the planet is. I've said that to people too. It's just funny that like a lot of African Americans, they act like the world wasn't made for them.
Yeah.
They don't ever intend that. Going to France, that's for white people. They're not going to Africa.
No, they definitely.
They're not. They're for whatever. But it's just it's heartbreaking with some people. No, they really. They're not even self-aware enough to know that they don't think that big about the world. Like it's really too bad. It's like all that God made it for everybody else, not you.
But here's what I'll say, because again, these are neighborhoods I grew up in, right? So I'm like coming to school early. There was a guy named Mr. Chambers, I believe his name was, right? He was a big, heavy-set teacher or whatever. Me and like 3 or 4 other kids would just sit in his class before class started. He was just one of those teachers. Like we just talked to him, and he would just talk to us. I don't even remember what he said. I remember him though. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I would go from that, and then like there was like Miss Barbara who got me to start writing because I used to draw in my notebook in English class, and she's like, "Why don't you tell me a story of everything you're drawing?" And that got me into. I probably wouldn't even be a musician or lyricist at least if it wasn't for something like simple as that, right? Mm-hmm. And then there was like Miss Kirkland. There's all these different people who came in my life, Mr. Motes, Kobla Motes, and the reason why I'm mentioning that is because, maybe I was a little quiet, or maybe I was a little like better of a student, like a well-behaved or more focused, whatever the case might be. But those people took the time to kind of say to me, you're a little different. Why don't you try to like continue being a person and being happy and like seeing the world in a different way? I won't lie. My middle school, like we learned about Black history throughout like the entire time we were there and shit. Like that was just a part of our education. So I think my perspective on that side was a little different in the sense that they were trying to make sure we understood. I'm not saying other schools don't do that, but I knew for a fact our school took the time to make sure we understood certain things. And we had teachers who tried to encourage us, right? So I'm saying all that to say that a lot of times, and this is more, for lack of a better word, systematic stuff, a lot of times there isn't a single person in a lot of those people's lives who are like, there's something outside of Brooklyn.
Right.
So it's like, I would love to blame the person because there is Facebook, there is Pinterest for crying out loud. You could go and just pick places, locations. That looks really cool. What is this thing? Learn about that. Fucking work a day job for, 6 months and fucking take a trip during the summer. It's not difficult, and I agree it's not difficult. But we're also talking about early 2000s and 90s when it was less easy than it is now, less accessible than it is now. But now I do believe people really don't have a reason. Like I know really, really niggerish people, and I use I use niggers in a very almost offensive kind of way, where I'm like, all right, no, you're on some shit, and I don't like it. But it's very niggerish people I know who are seeing the world, like they're broadening their perspectives. They still go back and do their stupid shit, but again, everything is way more accessible.
Right.
So it's like there is no excuse for that, But again, just looking at it from kind of how we got to this point. Not everybody had someone who said, you're not a piece of shit. Like the fact that your father walked out your house isn't a reflection of you.
Right.
The fact that your mother is like sleeping with everyone in the neighborhood and has no respect for herself or can't get a job or whatever the fuck the cases are has nothing to do with you.
Gotcha.
So
yeah. No, you're absolutely right.
Well, all right, we're back and we're taking calls for Ask a Sound Man. You ready for some calls, Sound Man? Yeah, sure.
Oh, all right. We got Josh on the line. Josh, what's your question for the sound man?
Yeah, my bad. Had a gig about a week ago, and we lost a few of our adapters. Like the sound man, he didn't even help us out. Like, it was my impression that you guys said you had the equipment at the club. You guys are supposed to be professionals.
Listen, Listen, you're playing your gig at a music venue, not a music store, all right? It's up to you to have all the things that you need for your performance. Don't rely on our inventory.
Yeah, okay. Last question. Why are soundmen always so miserable, huh? Is it because they're failed musicians?
I get a paycheck. You get drink tickets. Who's the failure, you talentless piece of shit?
You know, if you don't like your job, why don't you just quit?
You know what? I love my job. I just hate the narcissist pieces of shit clientele. That's
why.
Yeah, right. Why don't you go fucking get auto-tune, you piece of
fucking guys. Like this talent on stage getting the sweet pute while you live in your Bobby pathetic.
Isotope. Yeah. Nice. I need to learn that for the job I applied for.
Some chips.
I'll let you know.
Just slowly drift away in the sound of my chips crunching in my mouth.
ASMR. Okay, so we're back. This is Ira Glass. I'm here with Zach and Giancarlo. And so, Zach, what were you saying?
Well, you were talking about some heavy shit for the black community and consciousness and self-love and determination, and then Giancarlo just got the fuck up and walked away.
True. Whoa.
I was like, this is not...
Yeah, this isn't for
me.
Mueller,
this is not my purview.
Yeah, it's not like, that's your culture, bro. I don't know. I don't want to think about college. It'd be cultural appropriation.
Can I ask you a question? What do you think of not so much the term, but the occupation black intellectualist, like the black person that speaks on behalf. I read a really interesting thing about it. And I just want to see if I feel like you're going to say the things I read. I'm just wondering if it's going to happen. But what do you think of the idea that there has to be a very smart black person to speak on behalf of the rest of us? And I'm not trying to be sarcastic. Like, that's kind of Cornel West, like, Ta-Nehisi Coates, etc. Like these authors, these writers, these relatively political, social activist people.
I think that I understand where it used to be useful because there used to be dialogues across aisles and you couldn't get a billion people talking to a billion people.
Give me an example of some useful people.
Just all of them. Martin Luther King Jr., Malcolm X, anyone who represented an abstract idea held in the
James
minds
Baldwin,
of
for sure.
Lots of people at once
had
to have a conduit from which to say these things to another group of people. I understand that. And I understand that white people in this culture have the privilege. I don't want to use that word. They have the luxury of being seen as individuals rather than seen as representing a monolith. And the problem I would say with black people in particular, and I think it's the same with women, is they've all taken on the monolith. In their pursuit of individual freedom, they're taking on this idea that they all represent at the same time, each one of them, and then how you address one or what they have to speak of speaks for everybody. And I think that becomes a little bit of a trap now because everyone did get a little higher up in the I'm free now, I can do whatever I want. Society has accepted it. But rather than them branching off into their own ideas and self-actualization,
get in line.
They're still kind of married to this representation. And the representation now is representing more and more, less and less, because people are getting the freedom to do. Like, even look at like hip hop. Like, as much as it's ridiculous, but a lot of black kids today, like high school age black kids, at least I've noticed in New York City, they do not think like black people my age. If you about themselves, the racism is not that prevalent among them. The discussion of it is, but I mean, they're really kids really young, high school age, and they're not thinking Klan thoughts. You know what I mean? Their parents aren't all their heroes are fucking black. You know what I mean? So,
that's very true.
It clashes with this whole idea now because now black people are like, no, I'm that representation. How you respond to that representation, that's how you responding to me. It's like, stop doing that. You've outgrown it. You're now vacillating between an individual and a monolith, and it's just like, it's like they're just so married to letting other people speak for them and define them that it's not working. And now we need more people speaking. Yeah, because you want them to represent a more broad idea of what it is to be a black or an African American now. So I just think in some of that, I'm more into like, I'm an individualist, but I recognize however black people are treated is probably eventually going to be the way I'm treated, but it's funny because depending on who you are, it depends on how black I am. You know what I mean? And so for me, it's like, I at least recognize regardless, and it's not because of the way I talk or anything I'm into that I'm rejecting the black part. It's just, there's more than just a couple handful of definitions of, I've had black people say to me and they think they're being funny, like, oh, I'm blacker than you are. It's like, oh, really? You think you give yourself permission to actually have that perspective? You know what I mean? Like, because I don't fit your predefined version of what a black person is. You're telling me I have no personhood. Rather than telling yourself there's a bigger fucking,
Trust me, and I think we've talked about this personally a couple of times. Like, I go through that too. I go through that like a motherfucker. That's why,
because everyone's so gripped on that monolith that no one fucking represents anymore unless you're like a two-dimensional caricature of a black person. You know what I mean? And people
Which is what it is. It's like, oh, you don't play ball, you don't smoke weed. Exactly. Like, me having locks and not smoking weed is the most confusing. Not to Rastas. Rastas will see me, they're cool, they'll try to offer me something. I don't smoke, cool, no problem. End of conversation. We go on to something else. Regular black dude, or a nigga as I like to call some of them, using it very, yeah. But like, those very ignorant kind of hood booger is another word I like to use. Hood booger.
That's my favorite thing.
You can use it. But yeah, no, like certain like hood boogers or whatever, like they'll look at me and they're like, "Yo, you got locks and you don't smoke," and I'm like, "Yeah, what's your point?" They do all of that. That was. I hope the video feed definitely goes up with that for those who only hear the audio. They need to see that face because that was perfect. Like, that's exactly what they do.
I feel bad that I had to do it to you guys, but I've seen it.
But yeah, no. So no, I'm totally with you there. It's like you have to meet that stereotypical idea of things. And of course, yes, there are plenty of people who are not of color who do the same thing. But it's really sad that these people who want to be a part of a group, these people who want to be a representative individual about the culture or the identity of a group, they really do look at you and go, no, you're not, you don't meet those requirements, so you're not black enough.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's always the convenience of they seem to hold,
Yeah.
They're always, they're definitely got the points. It's like, when we were talking before, I really have got to go back into, I gotta get an upgrade on where black politics is at. But Ta-Nehisi Coates, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right.
Yeah,
I've heard of him, haven't really sat down and listened
I'm
to
very
him.
sorry.
What's that?
I hope that's the right way to pronounce it. That's the way I pronounce it.
Well, there was another individual, black male, who was on that same board talking about reparations. And the other black male said, nah, we don't need it. And they fucking booed him. How come he doesn't get to have his opinion?
You don't want free money?
But the one that was, you know what I mean? Like, and the whole thing, of course. And somebody even, somebody posted, right here, right now, for this moment, we can call whoever that guy was a house nigger or something like that. Another black person said that. And it's just like, where are you going with this? And the rest of the world who doesn't have a dog in the fight is just looking at you like, really African American. This is what you've come to. This is what you've come to be. This is all.
So it's funny. There's a meme. It's in response to something A$AP Rocky said. I think it was after one of the shootings. A$AP Rocky said, "I don't have any like political." He said it in a very straightforward hip hop way, but I'm going to say it the way I can say it because I can't pronounce it the way he does. Mm-hmm. But he was saying that he doesn't have any say of like black politics. Like, he's a rapper. That's what he does. He doesn't have anything to do with that. And the black community, which is a very, very harsh community, essentially started calling him like a coon and the house nigga and things of the sort. And, part of me, so like I haven't, like the time I was like rapping when I first started in 2009, kind of performing, I was hanging out with people from the punk scene. So that gave me a little bit of a skewed perspective, because if you hang out with punk people, your creativity is tied with your politics, right? Because that's kind of like a very punk kind of very thing to do. And so as a rapper, I've kind of done that myself, which I think is fine on an individual level. But at the time, I thought that they had to be more married, right? Like, you had to like talk about the things you believed in, because that was the way music was done. Again, I'm hanging out with punk people. I don't know any better, right? So for a while, I had that concept of things. So I'm like, no, A$AP should be talking, blah, blah. And then I saw the thing recently again, because I was, I guess, maybe a couple of years ago. It was after like one of the shootings some time ago of a young black male by a police officer. And I'm looking at it only a couple of years later, and I'm like, wow, He's right. He's a fucking entertainer. Why does he have to fucking become Dr. King because somebody got shot? Because someone asked him in the radio thing, it was like, hey, this thing happened. What do you think? Oh, dude, I'm a rapper. I don't have opinions of that. Like Meek Mills is doing something where he's dealing with incarceration and things of the sort because he was incarcerated. He had his own experience. So he's trying to help people in like a lot of different ways. He's doing really cool stuff, which is great, which I respect. I like. I think it's cool, right? I want to be able to use my music to do similar things. But why does A$AP Rocky have to do that? So it's this really bizarre perspective. Not only if you have a voice, I mean, if you're a black person in general, you have to agree with everything, right? It's just true. You can't be Republican. You can't do this. You can't do that. You just have to be what they expect of you, unfortunately. But on top of that, we forget that, what we forget is that A$AP Rocky is a hero, right? So it's like now he has to represent us instead of them going and voting for people who have their beliefs kind of in line with whatever. It's like the entertainer. Don't get me wrong, we have Muhammad Ali and stuff like that. So I think in a weird way, it's kind of in the DNA of the black community to go entertainer representative, right? Which is really not right. How many white entertainers have to go and represent anything on a super political level?
They have the luxury of being individuals.
Exactly. Like I bring it back to that statement. I think that's so true. But every single person in the black community has to agree with every little thing.
They become individuals. Yeah.
And again, like I said, I'm all for linking the shit, which is fine, but that's my choice. It shouldn't be expected of me.
Exactly.
And it took me a while to understand that. I'm admitting that.
If we can get there, I watched an Ayn Rand video, and she said the same thing, and I hadn't read her in a long time. I felt the same thing.
Ayn Rand?
Well,
Ayn Rand.
Yeah,
I like her. You're not supposed to say you like her, bro.
Yeah. No, yeah. I've read almost all of her books, but we'll get back to it. But I was reading things she'd said about altruism, which I didn't agree with years ago, and now I hear what she's saying. Yeah. And I agree with her, but I had to go to a different level. Yes. And now I'm like, oh, okay. This is sorry, I didn't mean.
I was at the end of it.
But what I wanted to say to what you were saying is I'm like, and it's funny because being biracial has forced me into so many perspectives. Yeah. And it's just like, I don't know if I would have come up with this on my own if I didn't have to fucking tear it all apart and figure it out for myself. So it's been a curse and a blessing at the same time, you know? But it's like I was watching this nature show with dolphins. And what dolphins will do is they'll form these, and they don't know why, they'll form these packs that they call allies. Like when dolphins fight, they'll go get like 6 other dolphins
they'll jump
at like east side meets west side downtown. You know what I mean? Yeah. And they fucking go at it, and who knows what the fuck they're telling each other. But when they're done fighting, they go off and they never become allies with the same ones again, or it's very rare. Oh. Sometimes dolphins will pair up with other dude dolphins and do dolphin shit.
Yeah, they go for a drink.
But it's like, it's how I feel. It's like, be an individual. For an American, you have the Constitution, you have whatever your beliefs, your personal, spiritual, whatever beliefs are, and then, as it says in the Satanic Bible, I walk the open plain, don't fuck with me. I'm not fucking with you. You fuck with me, I'll smash your hip and thigh.
I hope that's a direct quote.
It's something like that. Smash your hip and thigh. Anyway, but that's how I feel. It's just like, if there's a problem with people who have a funny colored skin, and there's a declaration that says all people with funny colored skin, shit's gonna get bad for you, I'm going to group up with those people and take that problem away. Yeah. After that's over, cue the background music and the eagle sound. I'm walking away. You know what I mean? It's just like, and I think that's the way it should be for everybody. Everything that you fucking choose to do shouldn't be my fucking problem. And it shouldn't I don't have to have a moral component to everything you fucking think and feel every time you want to type something on social media. Do your own shit. You know what I mean? Or, that's it. And a lot of this, I'm done. I just saw a whole list of new shit. I was like, I'm
done. I got you.
There is a lot of animosity for Ayn Rand, and it kind of irks me like quite a bit, like because of. I mean, I think it's just because like there's some like conservative kind of like she praises capitalism, so there like we have immediate like, okay, we're gonna identify her as an enemy because it's like blatantly this, and I can see where, like she's like really like a catalyst. I don't know if catalyst is like the right word, but it's like she just like amplifies whoever whoever is holding her book. Yeah. So you get some struggling artist that's just like hating themselves and like they're losing faith in their work. They're thinking like maybe I'm not gonna, like maybe this isn't real. Like you put that book in their hand, they're like, no, that's their audience is there.
Yes,
it's not time yet, but just stick with it because they're out there. You put it in the hands of some greedy asshole that's running a company, and it's like, well, yeah, maybe I shouldn't have to pay my workers that much. Like, so wherever it goes. But I mean, like she got me through times where I thought, like, why the fuck am I here? Like, why am I like doing this? Like, I should just not even, like, that was a stupid dream. And so, I mean, that's kind of like where, like, while I always think, like, well, shit, like, I'm gonna like kind of be like, I'm not gonna just like drop it like automatically because well, I mean it's Republican thinking and like all that stuff. It's like there's like it doesn't have to just even be like Democratic or like Republican. Like it just a lot of it like it's just still like inspirational just to an individual level. Just being like just go your own way.
Yeah. Fuck
whoever's gonna like go ahead and try to like stop you. Like and yeah, keep somewhat like of a moral compass. Like, but I mean it doesn't have to fucking. I'm sorry.
No, I get that. So. I think of Ayn Rand probably improperly by many perspectives as just kind of like an American writer, right? Like her work is American dream. And what it does, it looks like it's attacking socialism. But in my opinion, it's not. What it's attacking is Facebook, right? So you're talking about that crowd mentality where everyone disagrees and every person who steps away from that is a criminal. Everyone who steps away from that is they're breaking the rules and everything. And everything, or the two things I read Anthem, which I loved. And I read like half of Atlas Shrugged, but apparently it's had such an impression on me. I can tell you where I left off. It's ridiculous. I need to finish the book. But
she's a boring writer.
Yeah.
No, I'm just saying. I've tried. I love her. It wasn't the first book. Someone finally bought it for me for Christmas or my birthday, and I never finished it either. Even though I totally agree with everything she's saying.
It's a great book.
I love her essays and her letters. Yeah. But her writing style is dry as fuck.
No, I got you. I'm not going to disagree with that. Because it's more ideal than it is like storytelling.
Right, but the ideas you got of what's really the brunt of it.
Yeah, I think you might dig Fountainhead a bit more because it's more.
They made a movie. I'm not fucking watching.
Oh yeah.
The movie.
I still need to see Fountainhead or read Fountainhead.
But the Fountainhead though was more where she was telling a story with ideals in it.
But I've read as well 5 books. By her, so I really get where she's coming from. I'm not her fiction. I don't want to be dealing with her fiction.
Gotcha. But yeah. So, what happened? Oh, okay, yeah. What I was able to pick up from her is that again, like she's saying, you don't have to be a part of the crowd, right? So let's take Hank Rearden or whatever from the Atlas Shrugged concept, right? This is a guy who is self-made, and we live in a society now where you can be self-made. You can literally start a chip company, right? And you can start bagging your own chips, getting them manufactured and all that shit. And from today, being in this studio with us, trying to figure out why you hang out with Zach, right? You could be a millionaire. You could be a millionaire in like 2 to 3 years just from selling chips on the street, going from on the street, opening a store, going from opening a store, starting a chain and everything of the sort. I was like listening to one dude, actually when you were making a joke earlier about those internet dudes who talks about books and Maseratis and shit. I listened to one of the dudes because I just find them inspiring. But that's the thing. This is the first time in society where you don't have to be the kid of a rich person. You don't have to be any type of like monarchy or anything of the sort. You don't have to be related to royal blood. You can literally just be a person. You don't have to be smart. Like legit, if you just have a skill and you can market the skill and people want to buy the product or the service you're giving, that's that. And to me, that's what Ayn Rand represents. And again, I kind of grew up in the musically in the punk circuit, whatever, right? So it's like, I remember the first day I posted because I was doing my, I gave myself a reading challenge. And so I posted about the book on Facebook. And again, I was attacked by a lot of people who were like, oh yeah, blah, blah. And then like one friend of mine from the same scene was like, I actually really like her writing too. Let's talk about it sometime, whatever. But that's the thing. People think that, I don't know, maybe it's like a bizarre fear that like once you step away from things, like you are removed from this culture and this crowd, and now you stand out, right? And no one wants anyone else to stand out more than they do. So it's like kind of drag them in and whatever. There was this great short I saw about this guy. He was gray. His kid was colorful and everything. And the world was gray. Everything was like boring and whatever. And so the kid kept seeing, on his way to school, kept seeing this guy play the violin. The guy was in full color next to a beautiful tree. And so the kid would see that. He would want to stop. And the father's like, you got to get to school. Let's keep going. Right? So they're walking, he's going to school, and each day he's losing his color because his father's stopping him from enjoying the violinist until one day he's completely gray, right? So the pop sees his son. He's like, what's going on? And like the son's just like not in any mood. And so he tries to go back to the tree because he knows he likes the guy who plays violin. The guy's not there. Right, so it ends with the father going and then purposely doing it, which gives himself color, gives himself like whatever. And of course, all the other great people, they're just passing by and not thinking about anything. So the kid gets it and he gets his joy back. The reason why I'm telling that story is because like we get so used to kind of just going with the flow of things that the moment you like kind of step away from it and kind of do your own thing, you're like isolated. No one understands, and they don't want anyone else to understand, so they keep kind of pushing you away. And I feel like Ayn Rand talks about that in a very unique kind of way, because everyone's attacking Hank Reardon just because he was doing his own thing as he wanted to do it, and he wasn't going to allow anyone to stop him. And then Dagny Taggart plays a strange role because she's a part of that machine, but it's almost like she doesn't want to be, which I also feel like Ayn Rand got a lot of shit because she was a woman and a relatively brilliant one. And if you look at Dagny Taggart, she almost got almost no love for like most of the book. Like she's always kind of like subjected to her brother, subjected to this, subjected to that, and have to deal with everyone's bullshit, even though she's like, no, that's a smart idea. Why don't we support that shit? And shit like that. Fuck bitches get money. Well, I love ending statements like that.
I just like think about like I don't know. I mean, to do the blunt, there are two types of people in this world, but I mean like because you can have multiple categories of two types of people in that, in that sense of like lists and people. You got people who are circumcised, people who get vasectomies. But like okay, so in this kind of category, you got two different types of people of the stepping outside the crowd, stepping out doing what you want, where you have the person that's like, this guy just goes and does whatever he wants. Yeah. What a fucking asshole. Yeah. And then you have, this guy just does whatever he wants. Fucking badass. Yeah. That's like, you either have that. Like that kind
those of dynamics in it, yeah.
Yeah. And the ones that go badass tend to be one of the ones that want to go their own way as well and try to branch out. Whereas, like, and they can like keep you kind of from, they can, maybe, if they can't keep you from in making yourself individual, because it's like, well, there's nothing of substance. I'm not really getting it. Like, you should, like, it's not good stuff. So, like, whatever, like, go try. Or they can make it like fuck you up with being like, oh, well, it's really morally wrong for you to do that. Yeah. And how dare you? Like, you're so selfish. And then it's like, oh, geez, I didn't want to like be a bad person.
Oh, what would your mother think if you went for music and not be a doctor like your mother expected you to? Like all those type of narratives and shit. Yeah.
Hey, are you facing indictment from the IRS? Is bankruptcy knocking at your doorstep? Has the wealth value of your wedding ring not sustained your marriage? Do you want to make the divorce appear to be the child's fault? Are you undergoing deportation due to fear of immigration? Does transmission fluid need to be checked? Atrocity exhibition need a patent? Isolation license need to be renewed? Auto-suggestion overstepping the bounds? Incubation shed not producing enough Kevlar zinc splices? I'm just spouting out a bunch of Joy Division song titles at this point. I'm Jerome H. Diamond, attorney at law and shit acolyte, and I can get you out of almost any jam. But don't take my word for it, just listen to a testimonial from one of my clients.
Designated personnel of HRQ 37.89 Duck Duck Goose.
Take it away, Miss HRQ. You heard it right, folks. I got him a brand new Cadillac. You want to know by now, I get results. No haggle, no hassle, no bullshit. You got bad credit, you got no credit, then too bad, asshole. That's not my problem. So come down to my office. It's completely located next to the Mercedes-Benz, the Topeka car lot next to the freshly painted Cracker Barrel. Don't make me sue your ass.
All right, so we're back. Where was it? I wanted to respond to the things you said about Ayn Rand.
Shoot.
Okay, it's interesting that you actually picked up on. I've read a lot of her books, and you totally get her. And yeah, you too. It's funny because the way people talk about it, they always talk about her views on capitalism. That's why she's in the discussion now, which as soon as people started talking about it, really didn't think that they understood. And it was another one of those annoying things that people bring up to throw into the political discourse that doesn't really fully represent what that really means. Like, like their argument with her is that she's just for laissez-faire capitalism, whatever. Just which, yes, but in context.
Yes.
And And that's the part that people are missing. I don't know if they're willfully ignoring it, but then it leads to the thing I said before about how I listened to her again last night for the first time. And I was like, oh, wait a minute. I think I'm starting to see what people have a problem with. But then I was like, no, wait a minute. No, there's an explanation for this, which is I think something people don't want to deal with.
Yeah.
Yes, she is. That's what people forget too. She's an artist who ended up, she wrote books and she wrote screenplays, things that became plays first. She wrote a few plays. Yeah, she came to Russia. Knowing her in context about capitalism was really important because she, born in Russia, and then she was there. Her dad had a store, and she had two sisters. And she said one day they came in on the horse, all these soldiers. They put the sword up, they brought it down. The flag went down, a new flag went up, and they were fucking communist after that. And everything sucked. They took her dad's fucking thing away. They were fucked. So she got to come to America, and she's an extra in a Cecil B. DeMille movie. She started writing and having her place, but like she started, seeing the American dream happen. Yeah. She has every reason in the fucking world to embrace everything great about this because it's all real. And she did it as an artist. She wrote books, and then she came up with the objectivist philosophy, which caught on to a lot of people. And a lot of her books, particularly the Romantic Manifesto, is about being an artist. And she was about the artist, benefiting from capitalism, and the person that comes up with something out of the abstract of their mind and manifesting as something physical, and it's a service that can be exchanged with people, deserves the money.
Exactly.
And the thing is that all came true for her. People forget about that. And as a woman and as an immigrant, and they call her the fucking bad guy. But I like how she believed that the artist should know what the fuck they're making. This thing where it's like, I don't know what it is. She's like, that's weak. But go ahead.
Oh, there's like there's even a point like with Fountainhead, like where it's where he's designing like a building, and I mean all he wants like at this point, like he does this he basically solves a building issue that no one else can figure out, like of just being able to cram all these sort of like all these apartments like into this one building, and like he gives it to the guy that's been commissioned to do it, and he's like, you don't have to give me credit, you don't have to pay me. Just do that exactly the way it is, and still they fuck it over because it's not to the
it's pretty, not conformist.
Like, and so like I mean like we're and even at that point like she's just saying like sometimes like it's just like is it that evil, that capitalist evil like too much to just be like just do that exactly the fucking way I'm asking. Is that too much to ask, especially when the person's like, you don't have to give me credit. Yeah. You don't have to like pay me. Like, and I saw like the person solves the fucking problem that is at least at hand. That the first thing that needs to be done is figuring out that issue. But it's apparently evil though to want to like just do your own style in that way.
Right, and that's the thing too is with her, and I want to say you have to take her views in context, which it's important because you get more out of it. But like I said, but the other night, it kind of blew me because I was like, nah, you just have to modify the way you're looking at things. She was very much about how American culture was much more conformist than it is now. So her fight against it was real.
Yeah.
The things that she was speaking of may not seem to be as relevant now, literally, but I think it's there. I think today, which was the notes I was making when you were talking, it was like everyone thinks that they're all individuals.
Yes.
That's the conformity. Yeah. You know what I mean? But you have to be an individual according to their brand.
My favorite quote, one of my favorite quotes is actually from Incredibles. With everyone super, no one is.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And so there is conformity now. People just don't realize it. But also the thing with her is, with her laissez-faire capitalism, she believed, she saw a free market turn into a controlled market.
Yeah.
But just before she even left Russia. And she's coming here, it's like, no, free ideas. I'm making a living with my fucking ideas, know? And that's the part that there was pushback. And what caught me last night was when she was just like, capitalism for capitalism's sake. But she said it also, that capitalism has to fight itself. What they're doing is they're saying that she believes that capitalism is some entity that should never be questioned and allowed to do whatever it wants. They're conflating the capitalist system with the intentions of people who are manipulating the capitalist system. Yes. There's not the same thing. Capitalism doesn't have to eat up everything.
Yeah, I was just
people who
say
are
that.
using it to do that.
She wants competition, and
right.
all her books touch on competition for the most part.
And she even had. I would say, if anyone ever read one thing about Ayn Rand as a takeaway, read The Virtue of Selfishness, and I think that encapsulates. If you read all the chapters, she's hit upon pretty much everything that she's ever going to talk about in the rest of her work. And I think she's really good at reiterating herself, so if you didn't get it the first time around, she'll put it in another context.
Her philosophy was very much to the point.
Yeah. And she wasn't a perfect person. Some of those ideals are very high that she didn't even meet up to. But in essence, it's one of those philosophies where once you adopt it, it brings out who you are. And you've got to deal with who you're going to fucking be, since you're not giving yourself, since you get to choose what limits you and what sets you free. You better have some kind of moral compass or decide on one, because you just being free at everything is going to destroy you and everything around you.
True.
And that's what capitalism is. And she even had a chapter in The Virtue of Selfishness where she was addressing African Americans in the late 60s. And she was saying this habit of, she's like, getting your identity as who you are as individuals, bravo. But now complaining that every time something bad happens is because of who you are, that's a bad road to go down. This is decades ago.
Wow.
And she was like, that's perfect. And so that's what the problems they have. What caught me last night, though, is when she was saying, she's saying the biggest problem that capitalism faces is altruism. And that's, she's like, and she just drums that, that to sacrifice yourself for the good of someone else. She's like, that's a poison. And everyone's like, what? Do unto others as you would have them to do unto you. Yeah. That's the golden rule. And I kind of thought that, I was like, man, that's kind of, but then I started thinking about it, I was like, wait a minute. She says specifically, no individual has to be subservient to the group. The group doesn't have to be subservient to the individual either. You have to decide what you're going to do. Even if you want to, what she thinks she didn't say in this thing, but she said in her books, she said, if your wife falls off the boat and you're trying to save her and you save her, everyone's like, oh, what a selfless act. She's like, but not really, because your wife represents so much value to you. It's in your best interest to save her for your own happiness. Yeah. So you really weren't a hero on it from a certain perspective. Of course, that's why you let someone else's wife drown. You know what I mean? Yeah. But what I was interesting, and she was saying capitalism is the same thing. No one owes you shit. No one has to be moral with their money. No one has to worry about the fucking baby seals.
True.
They should. You should have your own moral compass, and you can be a capitalist in that and save the baby seals in order to affect any change, you have to be powerful enough to make an effect.
True.
So you have to invest in yourself to a certain degree.
You can't help the poor if you're one of them. So I got rich and gave back to me. That's the win-win.
There you go.
Yeah.
So the thing is, if you want to be someone who serves others, that's your choice. But if someone chooses not to, you don't get to. It's not this social contract where we're all like, weren't you supposed to be a good person? I never said I was going to be. You just assumed I was because I wasn't bothering you. It's like when the woman gets up in the 6-foot guy's face and starts calling him a bitch and putting his finger in his face, and she gets knocked the fuck out. Everyone says, oh, that's an immoral thing he did. Is it? She made the mistake of thinking that he wouldn't hit her because of some unspoken rule that men don't hit women.
Bill Burr.
Yeah, But I bet you she'll never try that again with another dude. You know what I mean? So you're making all these assumptions on people about what their values should be. You don't get the right to do that. And then to punish them for not acting accordingly the way you would, you don't get the right to do that. So capitalism is just a means of getting something done. Yeah. If you're an evil person, you'll get evil shit done. If you're a good person, you'll get good shit done. But like now with AOC and all them saying capitalism is a problem, you're missing the boat. That's like saying, your favorite baseball team keeps losing because baseballs are a problem. If we give them soccer balls, they have a better advantage. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I also do see with objective. I don't know if you guys ever played BioShock.
I know it. I'm familiar.
BioShock is a awesome game, and it's definitely off the theme of Ayn Rand's.
Someone told me that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's and it does a really great example of at least just kind of, it doesn't set out to take Ayn down in any way, but it definitely sets out a way to be like, in this utopia, here's how it goes down afterwards, after like the honeymoon stage, like
yeah.
Because I mean, whether it is communism or socialism or capitalism, any of these states, there's always susceptible to some sort of like someone being like, all right, guys, cool, like just put all your faith in me, and I'm gonna make sure everything's right. And then afterwards, it's like, great, I'm gonna take this shit down. And then that's why you end up with people being, well, capitalism wasn't really ever tried, fascism wasn't really tried, or communism wasn't ever really tried. They're sort of like because it's like, yeah, no, it does try. And then it results in dictatorship and just all like one person and a fucking like, yeah, it ends up with that hierarchy. But he also did a great point with the artistry and that what I was like talking about earlier, where it's like, well, at least let me do it like my way. You have early on in the game, you have the first boss is the surgeon.
Okay.
And what is BioShock?
BioShock is an awesome first-person shooter that is set in this underwater city where everyone is trying to get away from the whole
game.
crowd. Yes,
it's not for me. I'm also trying to audience.
Sure. It's a game. It's a game you should know.
Yeah. Maybe some adults in the audience.
Adults are heavily into playing that. That was a game definitely made for adults. I remember. I won't go into tangents of that. But
Underwater City.
Yes, Underwater City. And anyway, with the idea of like doing your art your own way, like granted it's a bit different like with artistry, but you have the surgeon and it's the same mentality of like, you know, like my vision, my way.
And this is the first boss, you said.
Yes, the first boss. And you see their how it can go wrong in a sense where it's like, okay, someone's going in for a nose job, but it's like, well, I also have this vision of your face being like this too, and they fucking hack and slash before. No, it's like, I'm the client, I've been paying you, so you have to at least fucking do it to my specifications if I'm commissioning you. Like there's freedoms for how you're gonna do it, how you think it should be. Like, but at that point, if I'm asking for just this nose job, don't fucking go anywhere else like on the face and start like being like, well, no, I see the whole thing now. It's like that's losing your mind. Yeah. That's like going like that's dwelling over the top like and into it. And same thing like with actors too. And it will piss me off when I hear like I've heard it a couple of times. I'm just having such a hard time getting out of character. It's like that's not something to be fucking proud of. If you're gonna call yourself an actor, like you should be able to be like, okay, like done, cut. All right, cool, I'm out. Like, you know, like, granted, it helps with character acting and method acting. Sure, like sometimes that helps them with doing some of that. But if you lose your mind to the point where it's just like, well, I felt like the character would have actually punched the person. It's like, yeah, but you as a human being just punch another actor like right now. It doesn't matter if you thought the character would have done that. It's like the whole point is that you're not like acting is believing. It's like, yeah, but you're not really it. Yeah. So like differentiating.
Yeah, like Daniel Day-Lewis is the same character for like months after they rap. Yeah, and they're like, "Oh, he's a genius." It's like, isn't giving him another part kind of abusing the retarded? You know what I mean? Like, come on, that's not healthy. You know how to lie to your boss to get the weekend off. When you come in Monday going, oh, I really think I should. You know what I mean? You're still perpetuating the lie. It's like, we all know how to act to a certain degree, but I get it. Go ahead.
No, that's fine. Like, but like, just, there are points where
something's wrong with you. You're like letting yourself, I'm being lost in my character. Yeah. You must want it. You're not fighting for your own identity in your own mind. You need a fucking medic, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's not like it's gone beyond being your trade and your craft, and it's just.
It's controlling you. It's controlling you, so to speak.
Yeah. You're relinquishing, though. Yeah. That's the thing. It's just like, listen, you need to really snap out of it, stupid.
And if it gets like, and that's where like objectivism can be a problem. I mean, like with anything, it's like if it's under wraps, under control, and then it's working for you, like awesome. Like, but like if it does cause you to go overboard, like then you probably should like refrain from doing it. And some of those ways, that's where Ein's missing the mark. But it's not evil. It's not going out there like it's delusional. But it's not for someone to be like, wow, I'm really inspired by Ayn Rand, and then to like really just want to knock them down like for like let me just put up some facts on Ayn Rand. Did you know that this is like and no one's gonna be perfect, like man, like but if inspiration's coming, like.
I mean, I hate to go this dark, but I mean, didn't we get the Beatles Volkswagen because of the Nazis? Like, there's like. no one's infallible. No one's fallible. Like, people make mistakes. People do their things. People live how they live or whatever. And Ayn Rand's philosophy isn't perfect, and that's not what it's about. So I don't think it's about being perfect. Like the philosophy itself. I don't think any philosophy is perfect. But you take what you can, and you just like, all right, well, this kind of works for me. A bunch of Jews drive Volkswagens and like whatever. Like, it's
that's
cool.
the other thing is like, what's your functional applicable philosophy, and what's your identity? Are you just trying to use philosophy as a religion, and now you're saying that if you fold yourself away in this envelope of this philosophy, you'll lose yourself? It's like, well, that's a choice. It's like capitalism only brings out what you are. If you want to be a maniacal dictator, you use money to do it. And you don't have to do it by being president. You could be doing it by the employee of the month and being a fuckhead for everyone else in McDonald's that week. You know what I mean? Or you can be a good person and end up really like building houses and putting water pumps in fucking villages. And it's up to you.
To altruism, if you're being like, well, I just donated like $250,000 like to this fund, $250,000 to this fund, it's like, wow, man. It's like, yeah. It's also a tax write-off, but
exactly.
I also really hate that. Like that example you just used really pisses me off about people because, and maybe this is, I feel like there's a scripture about this or something, but maybe it is a really old school idea that you should just do good shit for the sake of doing good shit. One thing I hate about Facebook, they're really cute, they're really inspiring, whatever. But those goddamn posts where someone like helps an old lady across the street or does this thing for this racist white person or whatever the fuck. Like they just do these things, they post it.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm really inspired today. I was able to do this, that, and the other. And everyone's like, oh, you're such a nice and beautiful person. Yeah. And I'm like, what? Yeah. That's not what being I had a friend.
Going out to make it known.
Hey, dude, look, I'm giving $1 to a homeless dude.
That shit.
Yeah.
Like I had a friend suggest to me. We have a friend. He's in a chair. He's quad. I always say improperly, but he doesn't have use of his hands and stuff like that. And he was saying that my friend was saying that me and him could get involved in something the dude was doing to like assist people. And I was like, oh, that sounds cool. He's like, yeah, because then we could post about it and people could see what our group does. And I was like, I'm good. Like, I'm not doing this so I can post it on Instagram. Don't get me wrong. I'm hanging out with the people, post some pictures. What are you doing? Oh, sometimes I volunteer over here, whatever. Like that's a personal conversation I might have with you. If I see you saw the post, like, hey, that's really cool. It's like, that's what I'm doing.
Part of your life. Like,
I'm not going to be like, oh, every other post, like, check me out. That dude can't walk. I'm his legs. Check it. Like, come on. That shit kills me. Every time I see that, I'm like, that's not what it's supposed to be about.
Doing your good works in secret was for you, first of all, so you don't look like a douchebag. And secondly, it protects the integrity, or is it integrity?
We'll rock with it.
You're robbing the person who needs the help or who you're helping of
their privacy.
Privacy. Is integrity? No, that's not the word. Anyways,
dignity.
Oh.
You're robbing them of their fucking dignity
Yeah,
at your expense, or their expense.
They're a trophy.
You're,
they're not even
exactly.
a person anymore.
Yeah, so that's what's up.
And that's Ayn Rand's like position on pity, like where she said like there is absolutely no respect when you give a person pity.
True.
It's a completely void. Like you are literally looking at them as someone lower than you.
Yeah, it's so funny because like I went to an event recently, and. So I went to an event recently, and like it was a fundraiser for a company where they make a bunch of items for people disabled, like in chairs and stuff like that, right? And what I realized was how often I'm not around disabled people. So I'm at a point where like that kind of like pity thing that I think people kind of do when they don't understand something, like I'm past that. So like I don't look at them. It's like, oh, look at you. Your life is so sad. It's more like, hey, what's going on? How you doing? Everything Gucci? What's good? Like whatever. They're people, right? But there's so many people who don't see other types of people as people because they don't communicate and deal with them. And when I was there, like I was kind of reminded that because there were more people in chairs in the room than there were people standing. Like, you know what I mean? And it's like, when's the last time, and this isn't a stab, this isn't me attempting to use altruism against anyone, but like, when's the last time you've been in a room like that,
right,
where you were able to really go, these people are different from me, but they're people. And what I walked away with, some of the performers, they had people performing, they were singing and dancing and stuff like that. But one of the dancers, he had the mic, and he kept shifting side to side in his chair. So he's literally rolling this way, rolling that way, electronic chair. So he's just going. And I'm like, why is he moving around so much? It's so he needs to just kind of. But then I remembered, like, when I perform, I go up stage and I move left and right. You know, like just the mere fact that that tool, the chair, becomes kind of a natural addition to who they are. So that is their legs, and they're expressing their entire body through that movement. I see someone rolling back and forward, but this person is swaying to a song. Like something so simple as that, you know? And then, you know, like I said, like kind of removing the pity thing and be like, oh, this is a person swinging to his song and enjoying his performance. Like just how, what it took for me to get to that point is ridiculous. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, why is that so difficult for me to understand?
Like there's like some level of, okay, like making... I'll use context of making a joke of like or something, or making a reference, or using a particular word that would possibly remind an invalid or someone in their chair, or someone who is obese, or someone of the opposite skin color, like in the room, and you're talking about something else, and you use a certain word. I'm not talking about like any pejorative, derogatory word. It's just happened to be a word of circumstance. Like with Larry David in the wheelchair, thinking, oh, I'm just sitting around. Like tomorrow, like, you know, it's like, you know, he's like right there, or it's like making like a reference to a movie, and like it's like to any of these sort of things, we're like, dude, like this person's like right there, you know, that person. It's like, yeah, I know, and I also know they're a human being, and there's like they're not gonna like take everything to heart. It's like if I'm gonna have to like monitor my language around this person, that means I obviously don't view this person as someone at my level,
right? Like they're sitting there lamenting their circumstances perpetually until you come upon them. Like they're always thinking about that they can't walk.
Yeah.
Like they don't have a life.
Saved by the Bell, the episode with Zach dates the girl in the chair. Does anybody remember that episode?
I didn't see that show.
Oh, you episode Saved? That's a whole.
I was an adult by the time.
Saved by the Bell.
Oh, okay.
There's a great episode where he's dating a girl in a chair, and so everywhere he went, it's like, watch out, girl in the chair, do you need anything? And she's like, totally fine, just rolling about. She's like, no, I'm good. He's like, okay, cool. And like every time someone's walking past, it's like, move out the way. Like he's always extra. So yeah, so being treated,
bitches, get out the way.
Yeah, but like the episode kind of touches on it, like you know, like not so much the idea of feeling normal, but being treated as normal, right? It's like there's nothing extraordinary here. Like I'm a person in a chair. People can see that. Like let me be. And the host for the event I went to, his college buddy was there, and it was this funny moment. I think I'm the only person who got the joke, honestly. So he's in a chair or whatever, and I think after someone performs, his friend stands up and clap. He's like, I just want to thank for standing up and clapping for me. You know, being my legs or whatever. And like me, that dude and that dude like actually laughed, and everyone else was kind of like, and I was like, no, that's actually hilarious. One girl was reading a poem, and she's dating a guy with a spinal injury, and she was like talking about how attractive he is, right? Just like his sexy crippled ass. I did hear something over here. She was like his sexy crippled ass, and like I just started dying, like. Just me like realizing this is normal. This is normal, you know. Just because I don't put myself around it doesn't mean it's not normal.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, we got to work that out. No, it was funny. It's two things it reminds me of. Is one like I remember thinking to myself one time what people thought of me because it was somebody in a wheelchair behind me coming up on the sidewalk, and I just walked right past them. And they were like kind of trying to get up on the ramp. Yeah. And then like I was like in my head, I'm like, did you respond to that in public the right way? And I was like, well, the reason why I walk past them is because I know that I'm not going to be there any other fucking day of their lives. What makes me think that they need me to fucking go over there? Like, oh, gee, thanks. Then, you know, I'm going to be here tomorrow again. Can you come by and put me up on the next one? And I'm at my wedding. You want to push me up the fucking stairs? Yeah. Like, they have their own life. They've already figured out their disability. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like they don't manifest to be real when they're in my view. You know what I mean?
Oh, Zach Taylor show.
And it's like it's good intentions to want to, I guess, check yourself or to be like aware of it. But in the end, though, like at some point, you start to realize like that you are, like,
you're kind of using them
to make yourself
barometer. Yeah, like I just said that I don't think about that stuff. That's like 2 more points because I'm so self-aware of my virtue. That's even more virtuous. But something else that you said was funny. It was his sexy crippled ass. I remember watching this documentary about these. I don't remember the whole thing, but it was mainly about these women who were mothers of severely disabled, mentally disabled children, and how that takes a toll on their life and what it's like to be that way and what they go through, and it was just interesting. But one of the things that was really interesting is they got talking, and they're just like for how people regard disabled people, and you shouldn't blah blah blah, and she was like there are some times though that your kid will do something really funny or fucked up, I'm paraphrasing, or fucked up directly because of their disability. And they're like, you allow yourself to laugh at it because you're the only person in the universe that has the right.
I see what you mean.
That was very interesting.
I see what you mean. Yeah. You should continue watching F is for Family on season 3. You watch it? It's a great show. Season 3, you see the little brother of the little brother of the boy's best friend. I can't remember anyone's name right now. But the middle child boy.
Oh, the one that talks
yes,
like this.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so his little brother, you know what? You know what?
Where are you going?
This just went out right now.
Well, maybe we should stop.
Actually, I should begin.
Let's have a commercial break. We're going to a fucking commercial break.
It's going on now.
I should be leaving soon. Let's. If I'm still talking, I mean, in the sense of being a part of this, my part can end soon.
Well, if you leave, I don't want to be fucking stuck here with him.
Well, how much time do we have on that?
No, we're good now. This is enough.
Okay.
This is enough. This guy, I can't. On the job training is a myth. It really is.
Oh, that's great. But yeah, so. It's very obvious that character has a disability because I mean the best friend obviously is a little like he's going to be a serial killer when he grows up, but his little brother is like not Down syndrome, but I don't know, he's probably on the spectrum. I can't really tell what they're going with it, but the way so he's a kid, so kids say what all the time, right? But this kid, he's just like really fucked up. But yeah. I brought that up just because of the idea of like kind of laughing at the disability, like being the person who can, and then Bill Burr just being Bill Burr. So he just gave you a character you could laugh at. But you should just literally what I'm saying, just watch it up to that point so you can appreciate that based on what you said.
Okay.
And it will all come together and life will be perfect.
Gotcha. I saw the first season, but then I haven't really catch up after that. All right, so I guess we're wrapping this up. This is how you do it. You let the audience know, hey, we're going to a new phase now. We might interject some things with Mike because he's got some tracks. You got any other Black Jesus stuff to promote? You got a couch or a shoe or something?
I do have a shoe, but how did you say couch? That's great.
That's the first thing I thought of. Maybe you should sell couches.
I probably should. So I have the Phoenix shoe, which is a sneaker made in Italy. It is it's a black suede and black leather shoe with like yellow word Phoenix written Phoenix, which represents a project I did a while ago. And that is available on therealmikewilson.com. If you want to give me your money, that'd be nice. But all jokes aside, it's a really cool shoe. I have mad merch and stuff, but check out the music first because that's what I do. I want people to hear the music. So therealmikewilson.com, go to the music page and leave me hate mail. I've been looking forward to that.
Isn't that nice? You got anything to push?
I just plan on getting stocking up a bunch of sandbags for the next episode to give to this guy in front of cameras.
Nice.
You know what I mean?
He
doesn't get it.
I don't know what he means.
I don't either, but I'm a little worried now.
Sandbagging.
That's what you mean. Yep.
Well, as we close, I'd like to thank the staff of High Shelf Studios for sponsoring this. I'd like to thank our sponsors, the Objectivist Society with Nathaniel Brandon. But the High Shelf was nice, huh? They put us up to nice accommodations. The waterfall was cool. From the waitresses to the valet parking to the black guys with the fucking brooms. Everybody here is fucking great. It's like when the mob ran Vegas, huh? There was class.
That was such a good time. It was such a good time.
So good. So good. Thank you, High Shelf. All right, take us out of here, huh, Giancarlo?
No, you do it.
Giancarlo, take us out of here.
You do it.
Take us the fuck out of here.
I'm not saying it again. I'm on my period.
Giancarlo, you gotta give us a song so we can end it out and sing us a nice little Frank Sinatra tune or something.
Whether I'm right, whether I'm wrong. You know what? You know what? You know what? Folks, sleep well. It's hard to do these days.
Already cut it off. This is wasted.
All right.
You go from almost about to sing a song. You know what? You know what? Oh my God! You just for that scene alone, you should keep watching.
Yeah, keep watching.
Oh man, Bill. That's the brother's name.